Good evening and welcome. Girls Director Tommy Savongse has provided MTA Nation with a special holiday gift and an opportunity. We are excited to have with us tonight for our MTA Leadership Academy series, Tommy's friend, Joe Mauer. Joe is a former professional baseball catcher, designated hitter, and first baseman who spent his entire 15-year career with the Minnesota Twins. He attended St. Paul's Cretin Hall Durham Hall High School and played three sports there: baseball, basketball, and football. He had a successful high school career in all three, including becoming the first ever athlete to be selected as a USA Today High School Player of the Year in two sports, football and baseball. He ditched a football scholarship from Florida State University to take part in a Major League Baseball draft, where he was selected as the first overall pick in 2001 draft by his hometown Minnesota Twins. In his career, he's become the only catcher in Major League history to win three batting titles, only catcher to ever win a batting title in the American League. He also earned many awards before officially retiring in 2018. He is married to Maddie Bazans in 2012 and has three children with her. MTA Nation, please welcome Joe.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me tonight.
No, thank you for being here. Before we get started with Joe, there will be some time to asking questions at the end. If you want to ask any questions, please use the Q&A button located below on your screen. Joe, are you ready to get started?
I am. Let's just get right into it.
Sounds good, Joe. Joe, at what age did you start playing baseball?
Yeah, that's a great question. Ever since I can remember. So basically, I'm the youngest of three boys. My oldest brother's 4 years older than me, and my middle brother's three. And I basically wanted to do whatever they were doing growing up. So there's film of me running around the backyard in diapers, trying to carry around a bat. So just trying to keep up with them. And that was one thing that they loved to do, was baseball, and really just compete at anything. So as far as when I first started, it was just more of, hoping that one of my brother's, teammates didn't make it to their game or practice where I could jump in and join as well. So as far as I can remember, really.
Wow. Joe, you had a kind of a unique sports journey because you played multiple sports. Can you explain how that went for you? Because obviously there are three different seasons, and how did you improve your game, and how that all worked out for you?
Yeah, that was the thing. I enjoyed them all. I played football, basketball, and baseball. And I think the common thing is that I just love to compete. Um, I also thought the other sports helped me ultimately become a better baseball player. Doing different repetitions, different movements. Just competing in different levels. But also too, just it kept things fresh for me. I played whenever it was the fall, it was football season. Whenever it was the winter, it was base or basketball season, and summer came around and it was baseball season. But I just enjoyed competing, and I think for me, it was a great way. I was kind of a shy person, personality, and it was a great way for me to meet different groups of people. And I always enjoyed going kind of those different friend groups and being around different teammates from season to season.
Oh, that's great. So you talked about the competition. You're a very competitive person. What were some of the other traits or strengths that made you successful when you played as a player at all the different levels?
Yeah, like you said, I love to compete. I did not like to lose, especially to my brothers. I enjoyed the challenge. Like I said, my brothers had a few years on me, and growing up, there's a big difference between a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. With size and just a lot of different things. So I had to figure out different ways to compete if I wanted to play, and I think that really helped me in the end. And also, it also helped me to experience failure, and really experience that loss and really think about what I could have done to maybe change that outcome. So I think there's a good balance, especially growing up, to have some success, but also to experience that failure, and to learn how to deal with that. Because as you get older, no matter what you choose to do, things aren't always going to go the way that you plan them to, and it's how you respond and how you come back for something that doesn't go your way is really shows people what you're made of, and shows people what you're all about.
That's really great advice. So did you always play? Obviously, you're competing against your brothers who are older than you. That helps get you that edge. But when you played baseball, basketball, football, did you ever play up, or did you always just play your own age group then?
Well, I think my parents did a great job of kind of having that balance where I would have a little success, but also experience that failure. Growing up, I always played up, and I think it was just more of, because I was used to playing with my brother and his friends, you know, um, figuring out ways to compete. And I played. I remember playing baseball at my own level one year, and the first year, or actually, it was the first couple of weeks. It was just I was having a lot of success, and my dad kind of saw it. He's like, "Well, it's really not a challenge for him. I don't want him to lose interest." And he knew how competitive I was, and so I kind of jumped a couple different levels that year and kind of found that age group that I, like I said, would have some success, but also experience, some failure as well. So I really didn't play, I guess, with my age group in baseball until I was a senior in high school, and I think that helped me along the way and develop into the player that I was at the time. But I thought it was good because like I always had to figure out and try different things to compete at each level.
Yeah. Um, so you had the opportunity to go play college,
Mm.
and how was your college recruiting experience? And was it just for one sport or all three sports?
Yeah, so I actually my college recruitment was more on the football side. As you guys know, football is a huge revenue generating sport for colleges, and there's a lot of scholarships to be available for that. But I was a quarterback, and I was getting recruited by most schools in the country, and I kind of narrowed it down to five schools, which was Florida State, which I ultimately chose in the end, Miami, Arizona, Minnesota, and UCLA at the time. So I think I know a lot of kids are going through that process right now, and the guess the advice that I would give to you guys is just to have fun, enjoy the process. Um, there's a reason why there's attention, but don't let that get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. And in the now, it's a lot of fun to be a part of a team, and a lot of fun to achieve goals as a team. And if you do that and you had success with that team, that only helps those individuals as well moving on to that next level. But the process was crazy. I'll be honest with you. It was definitely an experience. But like I said, it's a moment in time where you only get to do it once, so you got to kind of embrace it, and but also don't let it be a distraction of the now, and enjoying your high school experience.
Great advice. Did you? I don't know if you can remember back to how did you handle the pressure? Because I mean, obviously, you're getting recruited by a lot of major programs, and was there something that helped you to kind of put it in perspective?
Yeah, I had great coaches, mentors, teachers around me that would kind of remind me that this is your high school. This is your one time to have your high school experience, and to enjoy it. And I think I never looked at it as pressure. I looked at it as more of an opportunity, and I knew, especially going into my senior year, that it was probably the last time, especially on the basketball, side, that it'd be my last go at it. And I just chose to really just enjoy it and really to take it all in. And I also looked at it too as where, I feel like I had the drive and I put in all the work beforehand, with practice and in the weight room and doing things leading up to the game time where those scouts and those recruiters would come watch you play. Where once the lights turn on, that's when the fun should start. You've done everything that you could to put yourself in a good position to have success, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but at least I could go to sleep knowing that night that I did everything that I could to put myself in the best position. So my advice to kids out there is to obviously work hard and train, do the things that you're supposed to do before game time, and when you get to game time, just have fun and let it fly.
That's cool. Um, you had the opportunity to play for the Minnesota Twins for 15 years. How was that experience playing for your hometown team? I bet you get this question a lot.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, just to put it simple, it was awesome. It was unbelievable opportunity coming out of high school. Your hometown team having the number one pick, and um, them selecting you. I mean, it really does seem surreal. That everything fell into place for that happening, and it's all I've ever known. It's the only organization that I played for and with, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's I understanding that when I did have that opportunity that not too many people have this opportunity, and I'm going to make the most of it and do everything in my power to, like I kind of said earlier, is to put myself in the best position to have success. And now that I'm retired and kind of looking back at my career, I don't think I would do anything different. Because at the time I was trying to do what was best for the team, for the organization, and trying to go out there and help my teammates and win ball games. So it's like I said, it was an unbelievable opportunity. I'm so thankful that I was able to have that.
Are there any memories or moments, memorable moments or stories that you think off the top of your head that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, we could be here for a long time, but just I think looking back on the moments, it's really about relationships, and the relationships that you build, not just with your teammates, but your coaches and the people that really helped you get into that position. I mean, your parents, your family. Early in my career, my parents, coming to my games, the support, driving me to practices growing up. Just there's so many different people, coaches that I've had along the way, going, going the extra mile to help me out. And really, it is amazing to really look back and to see how many people help put people in that position. And whoever's had a chance to play in the big leagues or at the level that I played at, you don't do it alone, and there is help along the way. And I would remind those players out there to recognize those people and to thank them, because it really does take a village to raise a child and to raise an athlete. And I remember putting that in my speech, my retirement speech, because there's so many people that I wanted to thank, and for helping me and allowing me to go on and live my dream.
Well, that's so true because it does take a big support system. So
Hmm.
it's glad to hear that you had good support and family backing. You had the opportunity to play in an All-Star game,
Hmm.
and that tells you you're the top in your sport. How was it playing with the other top athletes, being on that stage?
It was awesome. Just the whole couple days, just watching other guys. That's one thing that I think I did well growing up. And when I first got into the league, looking at other players that have had success or other people that have had success at that level, and trying to take something or trying to learn something from them, and kind of incorporate into my game or into my training or whatever it might be, my studying preparation. And the All Star game, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's the best of the best. And you kind of go around and you watch people, you can see how they prepare for a game, what they do. During different parts of the weekend, you can talk to them about how they prepare, how they weight train, how they study other opponents, how other pitchers would pitch the hitters, how the pitchers would attack certain hitters. So myself being a catcher, I had both sides of that side of the game that I would pay attention to. But it was a lot of fun too, because it was a lot of reinforcement for myself, with my preparation and the training and the things that I was doing, was pretty consistent with a lot of the other guys, that were doing. And, I always say that there's no substitute for hard work. And, I think in those settings, it was amazing to watch the conversations between different players and even the guys at the top of their game trying to find little things that they can apply to their own game to become even better. So that's exactly what I was trying to do, along with probably every other player in that room. So it was a lot of fun, and another great opportunity that I try to take advantage of.
Nice. Along the way, were you able to witness some strong leadership from anyone? And who was it, and why did you see it as a strong leadership?
Yeah, that's another great question. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to lead. There are a lot of constants with that. Being a leader for me is being dependable, trustworthy, good listener, um, being honest, having patience, good communicators. And I've fortunate enough to play for Ron Gardenhire, Paul Molitor, and I feel like those two guys as leaders were both great leaders, but did it different ways. And Gardy was kind of more of your wearing his heart on his sleeve, a little bit more loud and more personable, especially with the media. But behind closed doors, he was that same guy, and he cared. And Molitor was more of a stoic presence, and maybe to the media, the outside people didn't really get to know him that well, but on the inside, he had that same care and love for his players that Gardy did. So there's different ways to do that. For me, I was more of a guy that led by example. I would, and also too, having said that, not being afraid to address things when they need to be addressed. But for me, I thought it was more impactful, those one-on-one conversations and having that good communication line. And like I said, being a good listener and also explaining my point of view or others' point of view in the room. So for me, I was kind of more on the kind of behind the scenes approach, but also I never, I would lead by example, because I'd be the first one there. I'd do all the things that I thought you should be doing. I would never ask any other teammate to do anything other than what I would be doing too. So I think those are good qualities. But also too, you asked for an example, and when I was a young player, I think Corey Koski, and he might not get that recognition that he does, but he was a veteran player. And myself, I made it to the big leagues when I was 20 years old. And most of that team were in their late 20s and, having families and really in a different place in their lives than I was. And I remember him going out of his way to make me feel comfortable. We'd go on the road and he'd say, "Joe, let's go out to dinner, or come on out." And he was very extended that olive branch. And that's something I always, we're still close friends to this day, but I always remembered that. And especially when I got to be that veteran guy, to really build those relationships with your teammates and your coaches, and that really goes a long way. So I would say Koski, although he might not get the right recognition that he deserves, he was definitely one of those really good leaders that I learned from.
Those are great examples and unique examples. Always you see the leader that you feel is the take charge type, but like you said, you let your work do it and how you communicate and stuff like that. So great examples. Do you think people can develop into leaders?
Absolutely. I think it's just something that you work at, just like anything else. But being a leader, you don't have to be out in front of everybody and telling everybody how good of a leader you are. That's usually those people are the ones not leading. But you can be a good leader by setting a good example for your teammates. Being honest with yourself, putting in the work, trustworthy, dependable, kind of like those things that I was saying, a good listener, a good person, really. Just doing the right things. I would always tell some of our younger players, I'd say there's always an eye on you watching. It's, when doing the right things, when it might be easy to take a day off or easy to take a practice not as serious. So there's always somebody watching. And I was very conscious of that as I was going through my career, because I entered professional baseball as the number one pick, and there's always a target on my back. And whenever you played against somebody, they wanted to kind of stack up and see how they measured to, the number one pick or anything like that. So I was always conscious of that, and I always made sure to prepare myself as best I could to, like I said before, have the best outcome possible.
That's great. Uh, how have you enjoyed your retirement from baseball so far?
I've enjoyed it. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I miss about the game. Being around the teammates and coaches, the relationships that you build. But for me, I'm not too far away, so I can kind of still see those same people and kind of pick and choose when I do go over there. But I miss competing. Stepping in the box, facing against the best pitchers in the world. I miss that. But all in all, I'm really enjoying being home, spending time with the family, kind of picking and choosing to do different things, things that you kind of miss out, or that I've missed out on the last 20 years, being present for birthdays or weddings or different things like that. There's definitely a lot of sacrifices that go on in being a professional athlete, traveling around or really, yeah, I guess there's just a lot of sacrifices maybe people aren't aware of. But all in all, I had that opportunity of something I wanted to do ever since I was a kid, and I'm so thankful I did. And to have that support system, I talked about my parents, but my later years, my wife and kids, their support meant everything to me. And it's a lot of fun to kind of the roles are reversed. Now I'm trying to do everything that I can to support them. So it's a different role for me, but I really am enjoying it.
Great. What are some of the things you like you're doing right now, and is there a favorite thing that you enjoy that people probably wouldn't expect Joe Mauer to like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, yeah, just trying different things. Last winter, I went skiing for the first time in my life. With baseball and training, they put certain things in your contract that you absolutely cannot do, and skiing's one of them.
Yeah.
But I tried that. My wife and my kids said I did a great job, but
Mhm.
me competitive, I was hoping it would come a little quicker. But that's the thing. I still I enjoy trying new things, but that part of my personality, wanting to, if I'm going to do something, I want to be the best that I can be at it. Um, that I don't think that'll go away, but I have relaxed a little bit here in that sense. I think in my older years, but yeah, trying skiing. Um, I enjoy woodworking. I started to kind of dabble into that a little bit. Um, but basically my time is, so I retired on a Monday in 2018, and my son was born on that Wednesday of that day of that same week. So I really dove into being full-time dad and really seeing all the different stages. And he's 2 now, and definitely a lot more mobile and keeping dad on his toes. But yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it.
That's awesome. And I also heard when we were first talking, you've dabbled in being an assistant soccer coach.
Yes, yes. So I had my first coaching kind of experience, as a dad. And I had first grade girls, here, and it was awesome. We had a great time. The girls had fun. Um, our head coach was actually a collegiate soccer player, and she did a great job too. So I was kind of the positive reinforcement and making sure everybody was having a great time. So we had a lot of fun.
And at that age, if you bring the treats, they're always happy. So
Yep, I made sure we had different families on different days. That's for sure.
that's great. Looking back, is there any advice you can give to our young players starting off on their journeys? Because it goes by quickly, I bet.
Yeah, I think for me, enjoy the ride. I was always I enjoyed the work. Like do different things to keep it fun. There's certain things that I think for me growing up, that my dad, my coaches, even myself, that we tried different things. We made training more fun, where we'd take a broom handle and throw wiffle ball golf balls and try to hit those, or come up with different ways to train and keep things fresh. And I would say just enjoy the process. Like I said, and if you prepare and do the things that you're supposed to do, leading up to that game time, really just embrace game time and have fun. When you're relaxed and having fun is usually when you have your best outcome. So know that you put in the work, you put in the time, and once like I said, once those lights turn on, it's fun time. Have a lot of fun with it and let it fly.
That's awesome. Are you open to taking some questions from our MTA Nation, the players?
Yeah, sure, that'd be great.
One of the questions I have been asked is there a Tommy story and how'd you two meet?
There's a lot of Tommy stories. So Tommy actually went to college with my wife, and I got to know him while they were at college. And I think they actually had joint birthday parties. My wife and Tommy, their birthdays are close, early part of the year. So, hey, Tommy, it's coming up, by the way. So happy early birthday! But yeah, so I got to know Tommy, and like I said, my wife and Tommy were good friends, and I got to know him over the years. And you guys are doing a great job over there. And I think I was actually going to play with Tommy on his golf foursome for you guys' golf tournament. So I was looking forward to that. But I don't know if he knows for sure how serious I'm going to take this golf tournament. I'm pretty competitive, so I hope he knows what he's in for.
Um, there was a rumor out there that you might be playing on Tommy's team and in our Thunder Open golf tournament, and that Tommy is predicting you'd be holding our championship trophy. So that's good. I like the
Yeah,
competition piece.
that's right. That's right. Well, Tommy,
And we also have to knock off Charlie Pursby's name on here, and I think your brother's name's on a trophy. So we get a little competition from the Mowers. That could be fun entertainment.
there you go. That'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to that day. That's for sure.
Thank you, Joe. Madden asked a question, and I think you kind of talked a little bit about it, but she said, I know you were a star at multiple sports growing up. How valuable is it to play multiple sports, and how did you playing multiple sports help you excel at baseball? And then she asked, would you recommend playing multiple sports to all kids?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did play all three sports all the way through my senior year. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'll tell you a quick story. It reminds me of the recruiting process. So I signed to go play football at Florida State for Coach Bobby Bowden. And I remember at the time he wanted to come up and watch me play basketball during the winter. And he came up, and obviously it was a big deal. People were here and watching, and he watched the game, and we had a good game. And then we met after, and I remember one thing that he said. He said, "This is one of the winningest coaches of all time in college." And I think my dad asked him. He said, "So, what'd you think of him playing basketball?" And why would you want to come watch him play basketball? And he said, I wanted to see how his footwork and how he moved as an athlete. He said, I look for athletes because I can teach them how to play football. And he said, you give me a football player and that's all he knows, then he'll be a little tougher to kind of teach, at that level. So I always remembered him saying that. And I look back at my career and I was thankful that I was able to play all the sports that I could for so long. I know it's a little more difficult nowadays with year-round sports and things like that, but I think my advice would be is just to have fun. If you really enjoy soccer and you want to put everything into it that you can, that's great. But for me, I love to compete and I love the different sports. So I'm glad I did that, and I do think there was some benefit to it. Doing some different movements and becoming a better athlete. But you can do that in training and things like that too.
Um, Gabrielle asked, with baseball being such a mentally challenging sport, what did you do to keep your mind in a positive place when things weren't going your way?
That's a great question, and you're absolutely right about the failure that's in baseball. Um, I think I always try to just stay positive and really focused on that, and just understand that things aren't going to go your way. I think at times, but for me, I was able to look myself in the mirror, go to bed at night when I knew that I prepared for each day and did everything in my power to get ready for the game and prepare myself, whether it was in the training room, whether it was in the weight room, studying video, working with teammates, and then going to game time, knowing that I could do everything, or that I did everything that I possibly could do. And I could be okay, with, taking a loss, which I didn't like it, but I knew I put myself in the best position to have success. So you're right, though. It's tough, but I think having I have a very even keeled personality, and I think that helped where I felt like I never got too high or too low. So when those moments, those really good moments, I would kind of tell people, act like you've been there before.
Mhm.
And, obviously I was very excited because you work hard for that moment. But when you don't have that good moment, you also have to, try to move on and learn from that.
Lewis asked the question, why did you choose baseball over football and basketball?
Well, that's a great question. So baseball was always kind of our family sport. Um, I always enjoyed it. I knew, I guess, in my heart that I had a chance to maybe get drafted as high as I did. When I was 16 years old, I got invited to play for the 18 and under USA team or try out for it, and I ended up making that 18-year-old team as a 16-year-old. And Minnesota is not really known for that hotbed of baseball players. It's usually the warmer weather states, but it was really my first opportunity to play against some other kids that had that opportunity to play year round. And I kind of looked at my teammates there and got around those players who that year went in the first round. And ever since that moment that I knew that I could play with them, or I was even better than some of them, that if I did the right things and continued to train and do the right things in the classroom, at home, in the community, that when my time was ready, that I could be up there too. So I think that was a really kind of a light bulb moment that baseball could really happen. So I definitely played the other sports, but I was always continuing to work towards that goal.
Casey asked, what type of diet did you have while playing for the Twins?
My early years, it wasn't very good. I'll be honest with you. Um, there's a lot more advances in, I think, nutrition and training than there was, 20 years ago. But as you get older, and that's one thing that I wanted to mention today is never be afraid to learn and to do and to try new things, and especially with training and recovery. There's been so many advances over the years, but as I got into my later years as a player, you're always looking for those edges and those things that you can do better. And Diet is huge, and I wish I would have learned about that in my teenage years, and what the benefits could be, for training and doing all those things. But yeah, it wasn't great early on, but it definitely got better, as I went on.
Um, that is so true because of all the different advances right now. Hadley asks, how do you prepare mentally before the game or practice?
Yeah, for me, one playing baseball is we play every day. We played 162 games in 180 days. So the one thing I think was good about our sport was you had to have a quick, or quick memory, or you had to forget about the last day and get ready for the next day. But for me, it was a lot about studying, their hitters, obviously as a catcher, um, but always comparing my pitcher's strengths to theirs and trying to figure out a game plan. I used to call it just my homework. My mom used to call it my homework as well. Um, Trying to line those up for me. So it was definitely a process. I had different um, things that I'd have to go through and prepare for their lineup. And on the other hand, too, I hit in the middle of the order at the top of the order. So I had to prepare for their pitchers, their starter, and their relievers that I might see. And everything's constantly evolving. So, especially I'm sure in soccer too, but in the game baseball, I hit third basically from the time I started to my end of my career. And at the beginning of my career, I might face one or two pitchers a night, where it turned in the last few years, I'd face three or four. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. But like I said, it's doing your homework, making sure that you're mentally ready for the game plan for that day, and also that your body is ready for that day. And then once game time starts, then just go out and have fun.
That's great. Ion asks, when or slash if you get frustrated and start doubting yourself, what did you do to help yourself calm down and reset?
Take deep breaths. Sometimes I played in front of 60,000 people, or more, and sometimes the moments can um, get you going a little bit. And, maybe with me and my personality, it didn't really look that way. But I can remember probably my very last game, knowing that it could be my last game or not. I would kind of step out of the box, and when I could, collect myself and take some deep breaths, just calm my nerves down. But that's the thing I think was one of my strengths, was my even keel personality, and not letting myself get too high or too low. And I think staying in that middle really helped me perform, especially when times got tough.
Uh, Tanya asks, was it hard to keep your grades up with all the sports you played?
Well, not really, to be honest, because in my house, my mom had a rule, and I understand there's practice right after school, but when I was younger, we used to have um, practice. We'd come home for school, have a little moment, and then go to practice. So my mom would always say, if you want to go to practice, or if you want to go out and play in the backyard, you had to get your schoolwork done. So it's prioritizing, it's having good balance, making sure that you're doing the right things as a student and as an athlete. And time management becomes a big piece of the puzzle as you get older. So you definitely have to take care of the things that are important in school, is definitely at the top of that list. And being a good sister, daughter, brother, you know, sibling.
Yeah.
There's some things that you need to take care of before you go out there and you get to play sports.
Will ask, how often and for how long did you practice sports a day when you were younger?
That's a great question, and I get that a lot. And I think it was more of, I did it a lot. I mean, to be honest, and more of it was me inventing games and just having fun with it. I mean, it was just something that I enjoyed. Like I said, challenging myself, trying to hit wiffle ball, golf balls with the broom handle, or trying to, then hitting like pop can tops, flicking them at each other. I mean, there's just so many different things that we would come up with to challenge ourselves. And we were just having fun. But at the end of the day, it was helping my hand-eye coordination, or, we would be chasing each other around the yard and, helping with speed or, agility. I mean, there were just little games that we were doing. We were having fun, but it was also helping us, as become athletes. So to give you, I need to go out and take 100 swings or whatever that, I never say that to people. I say, if you enjoy the work part of it and going out there and doing it and keeping things fresh, you're going to want to keep going out there and practicing your sport and getting better. So, I mean, I did it a lot. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Morgan asked the question, who is your favorite soccer player?
My favorite soccer player?
Yes.
That's a great question. Tommy Savance.
I have not seen him play soccer, but I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
There was someone else that said, I got a few from a bunch of people. Who was your favorite baseball player and who was your favorite twin player? I'll just put them all together for you.
Yeah, actually, it's probably the same answer. It was, for me, it was Kirby Puckett, which I'm probably my age group. That was probably a lot of people's first choice. But the reason I enjoyed him is because he was kind of one of those guys that wore his heart on his sleeve, but he just looked like he was having a great time, out there. He was all over the field. He could hit anything. He just looked like he was having a great time. And obviously, he's Hall of Famer, having great, had huge moments as a twin, and huge part of my childhood. But he just did it all with a smile, and I really enjoyed watching him compete. You could tell he was very competitive.
Claire asked this question. Concussions are prevalent in soccer as well. Any advice about your experience dealing with concussions that you could share with MTA athletes?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we're learning more about concussions every day. For me, it's I mean, there's a lot of things. It took me a while, and I still deal with certain symptoms, now and then. But I would say, it's listen to the doctors, obviously, number one. But it was, yeah, it's just not an easy thing to do or go through. But for me, I mean, there were certain things that helped me out and helped calm my symptoms down. And one of the things was, when you have a concussion, obviously it's bruising of your brain, but I didn't realize how tight my neck was getting. And, after a little while, I realized that your body naturally tries to help you recover. And sometimes it overcompensates in your muscles and your neck and around your brain really contract and are under a lot of stress. So for me, when I started kind of concentrating on my neck and my shoulder area, that really started to help me recover quicker. But drinking a lot of water obviously is good for a lot of things. That definitely helps. But I think every day we're learning more and more about that, and I would try to go out there and get as much information as you can, because I know a lot of people respond to them differently, and that's what's tough about it, is you can't really see it, but you can definitely, if you know the person, you can kind of see different, different things in their behavior. They might be a little off, and it's always good to tell somebody. But one thing for me too, I would encourage, when you do come back from a concussion or have a concussion, is to make sure you get your vision tested. When I had my concussion, my depth perception coming back was really off, and I felt okay. But in our game, and especially in soccer too, is we're trying to hit a baseball moving 95 miles an hour, and if you're not that precise with that, it can be pretty difficult. So make sure, sometimes vision gets overlooked in that whole process as well.
That's great. Adriana asked, is it true that you only struck out once in high school?
It is true. It was my junior year, and it was I think it was the first game of the state tournament, and I remember striking out, and I wasn't too happy about it. I walked back to the dugout and just kind of had these, blank stares at me, and I don't think anybody wanted to say anything to me. But I do. Yes, it was true, and to be honest, it was just never something I never even thought of until after the fact, and my coach, told me about it, and yeah, I remember the time though it happened.
One of those moments when you experience failure, and it's only once in your high school career. That's pretty amazing. Do you have time for a couple more questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, uh, how did you keep improving? Tommy asked, how do you keep improving when things got hard?
Well, I think it's just, it's kind of part of my personality too. And then also too, being when things get hard, that's when that's when you find out true colors of somebody. It's easy to be a great teammate when things are going well. When things are going not so well, being that support system or being that dependable person for your teammate or for anyone. I mean, it's not the easy route to do. I was always conscious of that. That I had a lot of people that depended on me. Not just my teammates, but my family. So I always wanted to be that set a good example for those. And when things got tough, that's the thing, and having that support system around you too always helps. So if you see a teammate or a friend going through a tough time, it's putting an arm around them, asking them how they're doing. Keeping those lines of communication open can really go a long way. And when you get through a tough time with a friend or a teammate, that just builds that relationship even stronger. So um, it's not easy, but you try to go through them as best you can, and knowing that there will be better days, you keep working at it, and hopefully things will turn around.
Um, Lana asked this question: if you could go in the past while you were with the Minnesota Twins, what would you change?
Well, knowing what I know now, I mean, yeah, you could say you changed a few things, but when I'm in the moment, I always had the mentality that I was trying to do the right thing and the best thing at that moment. So I don't think I would say I'd do anything different. Maybe maybe be a little bit more vocal, I guess, to, well, I don't say vocal, but maybe let people kind of really know what I was going through, I guess, physically, maybe a little bit more. But I was just, I don't know, I don't think I would change a thing, to be honest. I always woke up every day, trying to do the best that I could for my team, and put myself and our team in the best position to win that night. And looking back, I mean, that's really all that you can do.
Um, Two more questions. Kyler asked, "Who is your favorite base? What is your favorite baseball position? DH, catcher, or first base?"
Yeah, for me, it's catching. Being a catcher, you're just kind of in the middle of everything. My dad and a lot of people would always call it the tools of ignorance. Because you're back there and you get foul tips and you get beat up, and then you got to go try to hit too. But for me, I really liked working with the pitchers. Developing those relationships, understanding their personalities, understanding how to get the best out of them, trying to figure out their stuff, their pitches, and their strengths versus the different hitter strengths on the opposing team. um, I loved it. I loved the game, preparing for the game, coming up with a game plan. And at our level too, I mean, it's basically the pitcher and the catcher are game planning for the other team. Now that there's advanced scouts and different things that sometimes give you the game plan, but we would have those, but it was mostly up to the pitcher and the catcher to come up with how to attack the other teams. And I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Joe. I got two more questions.
Yeah.
Claire asked, describe your emotion being able to put on the catcher's gear one last time during your last game.
Yeah, that was that was that was tough. I mean, there was a lot of things going through my head at that time. For some of those that don't know, it was probably 5 years, I think, since I caught last, and I had to move from catcher to first base because of concussions and kind of trying to minimize that risk. But putting that gear back on and how much I loved it, and having the opportunity to do it, obviously having the blessing from my wife and my support system too, and the other team too. I don't know if that was out there too, but they agreed to let me catch one pitch, and they wouldn't swing at it, which was very, very kind of them. But putting on that gear one last time, it's just kind of when it all came out, all the hard work, all those behind the scenes, all the people. I was thinking about all the people that helped me get to that point. It just kind of all came together at that one moment.
And was that the same equipment you used when you caught originally?
It was. So it was funny how things had worked out. So I caught my last game in 2013, and I, being the guy, I love your routines, and I had my equipment set just like I normally would in my bag with my helmet, my mask, glove, all in the same spot. Well, I put it in my basement. I put it up on a shelf, and I, at some point, was thinking, oh, I'll put it in some shadow box or display it somehow. And I just never got around to it. So it sat in that same spot for years, and then came out that last day. So yeah, it was the exact gear and glove that I used in my last full game.
Awesome. Last question. Daniel wants to know, have you signed up your daughters for Thunderbolts yet?
Yeah, no, I have not, but I think they might be leading, down that path. They definitely enjoy the game, and as we said earlier, I really enjoy being out there with them. So maybe I have to apply for a coaching position at MTA here, maybe so I can, or at least help out a parent volunteer. But yeah, I enjoyed, being out there with them, and they had a lot of fun too, getting out there with their friends.
I heard Tommy might be looking for an assistant. So
Yeah, I'm
anytime,
just
Joe,
hi, Tommy. I'm
you're
your guy.
welcome. Joe, I want to thank you. At MTA, the whole point of this Leadership Academy piece is we're building great soccer players, but we're also building great people. And they've gotten to listen to other speakers, and you're a great role model. I appreciate you taking your time to tell us your story and your success, but also some of your thoughts. And it's very important. So thank you very much, Joe. And we wish you a happy holidays, and stay healthy with your family.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate the opportunity talking to everyone, and I think it's really great what you guys are doing there. And I wish you guys all the best. Happy holidays, everyone, and look forward to a better 2021.
Thank you, Joe, and we'll hopefully see you at the golf tournament. Take care.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.